we on?
All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Free Thinkers Podcast. This is episode number 32, and we have a very high-profile guest this week. We have Hunter Avallone. So, first of all, obviously, we got Steve, regular co-host. How you doing?
Yo. Doing great, man. A little buzzed.
A little buzz. That's good.
Yeah.
And then also joining us today, we have Hunter Avallone. So, how you doing, Hunter?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. So, Steve is going to plug right now, so you know.
Yeah, so you guys know that free thinkers are the most oppressed class. There's just no institution for us to make money out there. The left hates us, the right hates us, you know. We can't work for Turning Point because we actually think freely, so we can't get that bag. So we launched a merch store a couple weeks ago. Link below here on YouTube. Cop some merch. We got Free Thinkers dad hat shirts. Shirts that say Free Thinkers are the most oppressed class because that's so fucking true. And this great shirt that says Free Thinkers, this cool design. Just please support us. We're totally self-funded here. We got to keep giving you guys the real news. So if you guys can cop some merch, it would mean so much. Also, feel free to give us money in the super chats, and we will shout you out and not send you nudes. So feel free to do that too. You ready, Dylan?
Almost.
Okay, so I'm going to still plug the merch because Dylan is doing something. So
I have to set up the show. I'm not being lazy.
Dylan needs to finish watching his double penetration video.
My double penetration ebony porn, dude. I need to freaking...
It's true.
Guys, we have 6 people watching.
Oh, dude, it gets lit in here, dude. I'm telling you,
Did you promote it at all, Dylan?
I just did, yeah.
I didn't.
Oh, dude, if we're lucky, we maybe get to 7. So this is actually, we're actually...
7 is the Lord's number, so as a free thinker, I don't want to go more than that.
Yeah.
So
if it gets any higher, it needs to go to 77, and then after that, 777. That's the only way.
Yeah. 7.
You know what? I looked up Free Thinkers podcast on YouTube right now, and the first thing is Filipino Free Thinkers with 2,000 subs.
I looked that up too. I was like, dude, how low clout are we?
We are the largest and most active organization for free thought in the Philippines. Free thought
dude, we should have them on the show, dude.
What is this, dude? We should have them on the show.
We should get them on the show. Can we?
Yeah, what's they're about? Let's see. So they said, I'm going to read this. This is great free thinking. So we are the largest and most active organization for free thought in the Philippines. Free thought is a way of thinking unconstrained by dogma, authority, and tradition. To a free thinker, no idea is sacred. All truth claims are subject to skepticism, rational inquiry, and empirical testing. Dude, this is a real free thinking definition. These guys are the true free thinkers. I think we gotta get these Filipino free thinkers on the show, dude.
They probably don't even speak English, bro.
Dude, this whole thing's in English. I'm reading it in Tagalog.
Well, they might have fucking translated.
They probably speak Filipino.
They probably speak Filipino, yeah.
And it says, in this light, every one of our efforts aims to promote reason, science, and secularism as a means of improving every Filipino's quality of life. We wish for everyone to live lives free of ignorance and oppression in a society where they are able to act and think for themselves, and in a country where religion and governance are clearly and permanently separated. We practice a healthy mix of action, education, and discourse, demonstrating our support for a cause we believe in, enlightening the public online or forums and lectures, and simply hanging out and giving voice to our opinions. They sound like the real deal to me,
now
man. They sound like real
free thinking.
Yeah,
popped a shirt last week. Can't wait for it coming. Thank you so much, bro. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for supporting the show, dude. Everybody who buys a shirt, you're immediately upgraded to a level 2 free thinker.
Yes.
So
level 3, you need to donate $50 in the super chat. So
no, that's high elder.
Oh, okay. So what happens if you get like 5 free thinkers? What does that happen? What does that do?
Well, so if you're a free thinking high elder, you're not on our level because you can't be on our level in terms of free thinking. Like that's just we've been practicing for months and months and months, if not years. I've pretty much been a free thinker my whole life. I just didn't know it.
Okay.
You can't just become a free thinker. You're kind of born a free thinker, and then it is awoken from within you.
Someone said, "I want a shirt with Steve's ass on it." Now that is some free thinking.
So I want to get into the fucking meat and potatoes of today's show because Hunter. So we've all been going after Ashley St. Clair besides Steve.
I don't go after her. I don't go after her. I'm a big peacemaking guy now, so I don't go after anybody. But I will think freely, and if something's a true statement about somebody, whether or not I like them or not, I will speak the truth. So I'm not gonna be a bitch. Okay.
So, and I was going after Ashley pretty hard, and Hunter Avallone, who we have as our guest on the show today, came out with a banger video just exposing the hell out of her. All these
no one saw it coming, dude. It was literally a sneak attack.
You had told somebody that it was coming, and they told me, and I was like, "There's no way! Like that's gonna be insane." And then
cool.
You dropped this video, And I was like, holy, this is better than I expected. Because not only did you give the information that people already knew, but you went in detail. Like, I didn't even see all, like, the sex laptop tweets.
You didn't know about any of that stuff?
No, I knew about all that, but he revealed more than I had seen. And, like, all of the evidence, like, have you seen the sex laptop nudes? Like, I didn't know about that. I know about her nudes, but I didn't have any, like, evidence that she had sent the nudes.
Meaning you didn't see them?
No,
I hope not.
I don't want to.
I
hope not, you disgusting man.
I do not want to see sex laptop nudes.
That's illegal.
Yeah, that's illegal. Do not send me sex laptop nudes, please. Seriously, on God.
Yeah, seriously. That's not a joke.
No.
That's not free thinking.
No,
that's not
if you send me, I don't even want to keep because
stop talking. Move on to the next subject. Yeah. But yeah, so I'm a big peacemaking guy now. I used to have a very publicized beef with Laura Loomer, the gay who straight on Instagram. And we were going back and forth for months.
What against Laura Loomer, though?
I don't have anything against her now. So I, what started with my beef with Laura was, I've known her for 2 years. Back before she was even really that famous, The Scoop did a video about her in like early 2017. She like kind of punked on Hillary Clinton with something like her first viral videos. And then I've talked to her sporadically since then. But then when she came after Kyle Kashuv, who I'm no fan of necessarily, but I just thought it was hypocritical for someone like Laura Loomer, who's gone through so much oppression from social media and been silenced for speaking her mind, to kind of go out of her way to call on her followers to ban Kyle Kashuv from Harvard for allegedly saying the N-word a bunch of times in private messages. Again,
he did get banned from that too.
Yeah, so he did after that. And I also, in the same podcast where I said those things about her, I condemned him for saying it. I said, hey, I don't think it's good these white people keep saying the N-word. Stop saying it. It's not cool to say the word. I was very clear about that. It's bad that he did that. But I
have the N-word pass.
Well, I have the Fredo pass, so I'll give you that if you want it.
Yeah, the Fredo pass is that's the big one now.
I got the Fredo pass. But yeah, so I said, hey, you know what? It is bad what he did, and we shouldn't encourage that behavior. But also, for someone who's gone through what she did, to go out of her way to call her followers to kick him out of Harvard was hypocritical, in my opinion. And she got super mad about it. We went back and forth. Well, I ran into her, actually, Hunter, at the event you went to, the Antifa rally in D.C. last month. I was out there, and my girlfriend lives in D.C., so I went out to see her too, but I was also at the rally. And I ran into Laura Loomer. She actually called me a couple days before the event. She got my number and said, hey, Steve, this is Laura. I don't have any problems with you. Let's just resolve the beef, blah, blah. We talked about it. And I met her at the VIP party there, and it was all good. We became friends. And then also this girl, the gay who strayed, on Instagram, been beefing with her for like 2 years. And I've been talking a lot of shit about her. I said some nasty things. And then I was at the rally that Hunter was at, and then I ran into her. Didn't even know she was going to be there. She saw me, and she was like, first thing she says, she goes, Steve, let's just stop the beef. Not even hi. She knew who I was right away. She's like, Steve, let's stop the beef.
Like,
I'm like,
Steve, let me ask you this, though. Are you a confrontational person in person?
Yes. If I don't like you and I find it strategic to be confrontational. So I realized...
Because, like, okay, all right.
So I realized with these people, I was like, you know what? A lot of it is ego-driven. We're all social media influencers here. There's a lot of ego involved. And then I took a step back and I was like, I'm not gaining monetarily or clout-wise by beefing with these people, and we agree on more than we don't. Like, I need to humble myself and just get over it, and, I did that. So, same thing with the Ashley thing. I'm not a conservative. I'm just a free thinker, and I've said this a million times. So, I don't really, I don't have, I guess, as much vested interest as someone like Hunter does, or I can't speak for Dylan, he's a free thinker, but Hunter does as a conservative, to kick her out of the conservative movement, because I'm not in that movement. I used to be it, and I left it. However, I do also believe in facts and truth as a journalist. And
nobody wants to kick Ashley out of the conservative movement.
People do. Don't say nobody. People do.
No, I don't want her in Turning Point. I
think it's a little
I say the Turning Point thing. But let me finish the point here. So Hunter did a really good job. And, as someone who's not talking shit about her, but also a free thinker, the way he put together the video and the really high-quality journalism there, you can't really argue with any of those facts. And I've also said, I'm not talking shit about her, but I did find it pretty embarrassing, almost more on Turning Point's side, that she said those things on me and Dylan's show, and then they hired her. That was almost more embarrassing for them than it is for her.
Not only is it embarrassing for them, but they also go out and now they're getting like... I mean, they're just screw it. They're like, let's just get everybody who has mildly large tits. They have the fit princess now, who like was straight up. I mean, I've heard rumors about her as well, and what she did like
used
sexually.
to be a porn star.
I don't know about that.
What are the rumors you heard? Because just so I can make it clear though, like I really don't have too much of a problem with Turning Point. I know you guys don't like them, but I'll be honest, Turning Point's always been really nice to me and very accommodating, and
because they're trying to get you in that ambassador program. So
they haven't been to me, so I have no reason to be nice to them.
Here's what
it's not.
They're so nice to you, and then they'll like, and I'm sure you know this, Hunter. If you have a page with like 20K followers so here's what they'll do. They'll be like, oh, we'll bring you into our ambassador program. It's awesome. Oh, and then if you advertise our shirts, we'll give you a coupon code and then we'll give you some of the money from the shirt. I'm like, these people are going to get zero money. Like if you have a 20K page, you're selling like maybe a shirt.
It's the conservative version of selling fit tea. It's like, what are we doing here? It's so cringe.
It's just, and my biggest problem with it is not that.
If you want to buy merch, buy Freethinkers merch. Don't buy the
buy Freethinkers merch. And hey, guess what? You don't have to sell it yourself. All you have to do is buy it. It takes out the one step.
You have to sell it.
You don't even have to be a free thinking ambassador. Dude, we need to start doing that free thinking ambassador, dude. We need to add people to the
thing is just like I just don't think that's enough of a reason not to like Turning Point, because I think that they also do a pretty good amount of good. I like that they get all these big rallies and events going, and I like that they have a lot of people congregate to like support Trump and everything. They also do put up a pretty good show, I'm not going to lie.
I've never been to an event.
Because they have all that boomer money. Of course they can put up a good show. But here's the thing. They don't actually do much in terms of... And I can say anything I want, and they'll still bring me in their organization. So I will sit here and trash them, and then I'll... No, I'm just kidding. But, like, here's the thing. I think they do a really good job of, like, hyping up the base. But what do they do after that? Like, I actually brought up the idea with somebody who's like a higher up ambassador, somebody who has pull with the organization. And I was like, hey, why don't they ever consider maybe putting up like a voter registration booth in their...
Like Scott Presler does. He's an actual activist.
Yeah, I was like at their event so that they can actually get people voting instead of just like, oh, come here and watch Candace Owens wreck the libtards epic style. And then the guy was like, oh my God, that's such a good idea. I'm like, you mean to tell me that these people have so much money? They have these massive fundraising.
Well, he's doing actually good work, and there's two organizations in my mind who are related that do different things, but they get related. Is Turning Point and PragerU. PragerU, I think, is a huge net positive to the movement because they're creating content that people really digest. They break things down in a very educational way, and I have tons of former liberal friends here in Silicon Valley, California, that told me that they, I'll use this term ironically, radicalized by PragerU because they were so far left and they saw these videos on PragerU on their feed that were like, whoa, this makes so much sense. I'm now a right-leaning person. That doesn't happen from Turning Point. Turning Point, but they sell the free thinking shirts, and I've seen Dennis Prager talk, and I work with them often, so I'm not obligated to say this, but they do good work, and like I really like what they do. I just think that it's weird how everyone sucks TPUSA's cock as if they're the most important thing, but I think PragerU could be a more powerful. PragerU is basically the now this of the right, and it's like, why are we not blowing up that? We're caring about Turning Point having circle jerk conferences. Like, what's that doing for?
It's not even that. It's like,
it's because Turning Point sets up these events for people to actually go to, which is pretty cool.
I mean, okay, so you go to an event, then what? Like, literally, the events aren't for. They aren't engaging the conservative movement. All they're doing is letting you come out and watch your favorite speaker speak, and then they send them back. Yeah, that's it. Like that's what I think they could improve on. I don't have a problem with the organization in general. Like I'm very impartial on Turning Point. In fact, like I think Charlie Kirk's cool. I think he's a super smart dude. Fucking dude's 25 years old.
I agree. The guy's obviously a genius.
The guy's borderline. Yeah, I mean he's a genius.
Yeah.
Like he's
a genius.
He'll be in a history book somewhere. Like, and I'm not even doing that to suck his dick. He will be, but the way that I think the organization's gotten out of his hands a little bit. Like, I don't think it's what it was before, where it was just like this campus organization.
It's growing too fast that it's like he can't keep. And I'm not putting him down. I don't know what the organizational structure of Turning Point is, but who's ever running the organization, it's like growing too fast and turning into something that's like no one knows what you even do anymore. That it's so big that you'll hire someone like Ashley St. Clair that you're so desperate for this clout to advertise for your rock star parties that you will throw away any principles of what you stand for to hire someone who just bashed the fuck out of you on our show.
Well, we know why she got hired. We know why her boyfriend, who I'm not going to say his name, is very involved with Turning Point and talked him into it. That's what happened. I mean, dude, there's no way anybody else who bashes somebody that severely they would keep her.
It is a little bit weird that they would hire her afterwards, to be honest, because I thought that Turning Point's kind of like takes that stuff kind of seriously.
Yeah, they get butthurt about everything, and then and again, I'm not talking shit about it, I'm just questioning things here, but it's like something is going on with that because that is not normal. It is not normal that someone can go on and say, hey, you know what? They just bring out Benny Johnson. They get fucking boners or a bunch of white guys that don't do anything. She said, quote unquote, TPUSA sucks. I mean, I don't know. I run a company here. If anybody was saying the scoop sucks or Steve sucks, I wouldn't hire you. I don't know, like, and that's why you say like Turning Point. Well, I lose a lot of respect for organizations that would hire someone that would say that. It's like you have no principles of what you're standing for. That's pretty corrupted. It's pretty embarrassing to me that if you're willing to hire someone who hates you, what really do you stand for?
Yeah.
And so I'm not even so much concerned about her and the nudes or whatever. Like, I don't really give a fuck about that stuff. Like, I do degenerate shit all the time. Like, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm
but
drinking
you
fucking
haven't
beer right
sold
now. Like,
nudes as an underage person, allegedly.
Well,
To
allegedly.
somebody
But
to somebody who's overage, and then got somebody. This is according to somebody very close to her. Got somebody arrested for it. Like, that's insane.
I know these are all unfounded allegations, but I've also heard those allegations as well.
Yeah. They're unfounded allegations coming from sources like directly associated with her. Like,
so I have a question for Hunter, because I know Dylan's been involved in the Exterminate the Thought campaign for quite a long while, at the forefront of actually, and I've been following closely. Obviously, I'm close with Dylan, and he has his own reasons for doing what he does about Ashley. I was curious about your video. What drove you to make that? And what were you looking to accomplish? And like, what was again? It was a great video. It was all real as far as I could tell. Great quality work. What was the point? What are you looking to accomplish by that? And why did you feel that was necessary for your goals and this movement to put that video out there?
Well, I've been toying around with a video style like that. And then I'd heard a lot about Ashley St. Clair and the stuff from her past. So I kind of just like took a mental note of it, and I was sort of thinking about it. And basically just the more that came to light, the more I was like, this girl needs to be like held accountable and get called out, because she's like, it really feels like she's playing the entire conservative movement. And I don't think that's cool. Like, I've been a part of this conservative movement for a long time. Dylan, you've known me like for a long time. I was coming on this show when I was like really just first on the come up, when I was at like 20K subs or whatever.
Nice.
So for her to kind of be exploiting it is what it seems like she's doing. I don't know. I feel like that deserved getting called out a little bit.
Well, and let me say this, because somebody messaged me when I posted about your video. Someone was like, "You do realize Hunter's a fucking shill too," and said all this stuff. I just want to make this clear. I've known Hunter for a long time, like years and years and years. He has been consistent with his views the entire time I've known him. Like, he hasn't changed at all. His YouTube style is big. Like, I haven't seen any changes, any hypocrisy from him at all.
The only thing that I've changed, like any changes that I make, I'm always very public about them.
Yeah, which is completely fine.
What have you changed on?
Well, I used to be pretty. I've just changed the way I approach LGBT issues, to be honest. And that's
what caused that change.
I just realized that there is a little bit more validity to some of the LGBT stuff than I was giving it credit for originally. For example, like, I do think that, like, okay, I'll still criticize the LGBT community, and I still do, because, like all things, they deserve to be criticized sometimes, and they shouldn't be off limits from criticism. But, like, for example, gender dysphoria is, what most trans people have. That's like a real mental illness. Like, that's a real problem, and I just don't see being like, oh, look at these fucking trannies, blah, kind of thing. Like, that's not really the style.
Well, particularly
that makes it so funny, dude.
Particularly if you have the new right-wing thing is like, oh, blame all the gun problems on mental illness and then bash people for having a mental illness. That's kind of hypocritical.
Well, and the thing is, like, here's my view on the whole thing. I think it's okay to attack, like, the things that are going on, like what the community is trying to do, and not go after individual people within the community. Like, I'm very much against teaching LGBT stuff in schools. I'm very against this whole like reading to kids in the library thing, like promoting it to children on Netflix, things like that. I'm against how open they are in public about it, but I'm never going to be like, oh, look at this gay person. Like, look at him over. Like, that's just not the type of thing that. Now, I'll say, like, as a joke maybe, but I'm never going to go after somebody seriously and seriously attack somebody for being gay. Like, that's just insane. Right. Especially as a gay person myself. No, I'm just kidding. But, like, I'm not going to.
Finally, you come out. Jeez.
I'm not going to go after somebody for being gay. That's just insane.
Well, I think the whole, and again.
That's the thing is, sorry to cut you off, Steve. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, yeah, like, I used to kind of use gay and stuff. It's like a little bit more of an insult. And the thing is, look, I do think some of that edgy humor is pretty fucking funny. But the other thing is, and I've kind of tried to be open with my audience about this stuff. I did a live stream not too long ago where I talked about it. But like, as I grow up, like my content's going to grow up with me. Especially like now that I've had a kid and stuff, like I don't know, I look at things a little bit differently. And what bothers me sometimes is my audience will get mad at me. They'll say that I'm like becoming a liberal. Like I condemned white nationalism and white supremacy the other day, and I was
as did I. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was literally being told that I was like, "Oh, Hunter's become a liberal now."
I can't, and that's one of those things, Hunter, that forced me to become a quote unquote free thinker. I mean, I was as far right as they could come.
Quote. Take the quotes away, bro. You're a free thinker, dude.
Yeah. Okay. As a free thinking high elder, you're right. So. That's one of the things. One of the biggest. I made a video about this when I stopped being conservative back in like October, November of last year. I gave a list of reasons. One big one was I just felt like on one thing, like conservatives, they've really put this idea, and I don't know if it's because of Trump or it was before Trump, and a lot of it has to do with the liberals being so sensitive, which is definitely annoying. But this idea that you have to be fucking mean and an asshole to be conservative is like pretty irritating. Because it's not productive and it doesn't make people like conservatives more. That's like, oh, I have to just bully people and be hella mean and just call them nasty names or else I'm not a true conservative. I think that's not very productive and it's pretty damn annoying. And another thing is like, what were you saying about that? That it fucking triggered me to say that. Like growing up about issues. What were you saying? You said something that maybe triggered my thought. I forgot what it even was.
Was it as I grow up, my content's changing? My content grows with me?
Oh, yeah, you said the white nationalist thing. So it's like, and this was a paradox I didn't understand, and I still say this even last week about all the shootings, and one guy was a fucking white nationalist. It exists, and I've been, as a free thinker, I've been saying this for years now, and it's one of my differences from the right was the right has had this thing forever that you have to deny that the alt-right and white nationalists exist. And it's
that's dumb, though. Yeah, that's just dumb because that's like here's the thing.
Like, why? What?
Here's the thing. People
if Democrats are the real racist, then why do you need to deny that they exist? It's like if these people aren't Republican, then why? If it's like why are you afraid to acknowledge that white racists exist if you're not one of them?
Because here's the thing. I think these people understand that there is in some way a race issue on the right. The left has it too, but I think the left is dealing with theirs by openly saying that they're against racism. Like they don't say I'm against. Right, they're just like I'm against racism. Like they'll openly talk to you about it if you know any leftists.
But they sound like they're just fucking shills. That's their
but on the right, it's like you can't have a conversation. Like if you bring up if you're even talking to someone on the right and you're like, man, dude, the America has kind of a racist issue. They're like, oh, the 1860s slavery ended. Like it's.
But I'm like, hey, you know what? If you're not racist. And you bring up that America has a racist issue, like how does that negatively affect anybody? If a white conservative says I denounce white nationalism, how does that hurt conservatism if conservatism isn't racist? They say Democrats are the real racist, then why do you have a problem denouncing white supremacy and white nationalism? Like I don't understand it.
Well,
like what's
even
the problem?
More so, I think they're afraid of it coming back to Trump, but Trump isn't a white nationalist, so the white nationalists wouldn't support him. So
he denounces them more than anybody. And that's why they don't like the guy, because he always denounces them. So it's like, what's the problem if there's a shooting? You know what? I'm going to denounce white supremacy. Boo-hoo. Like, how are you worse off by doing that? And they never explain it, but they just get fucking irritated. It's like, well, now you seem like you're a racist because you're set to denounce white supremacy. I don't get it. So, yeah, you being called like a cuck and a loser for saying that. It's like, dude, what is these people's problem? Like you either
see the thing is I kind of agree with you like that like people on both the right and the left need to be okay with talking about racism and if it exists and whatnot. But like I don't think that me condemning white nationalism means I'm not a conservative. Like I don't think I would be like, oh, I have to be a free thinker now.
The
thing is like but
okay.
I like since the beginning though, Dylan, like you know me forever. Like since the beginning, I've always been like battling someone about something online. Like I'm always in the middle of like drama with someone.
You're always in the beef, yeah.
Yeah, and so fuck it, dude. Like I just start battling people over white nationalism then. Like, I mean, I got a lot of heat on Twitter before I got banned.
You got banned?
I get banned on Twitter
Dude,
like every year.
Trump came out today and fucking tweeted, just side note, because free thinking, I have to jump in here. He came out today and tweeted, I was going to roast the shit out of him, but I didn't. He goes, Donald Trump Jr. is like, unbelievable. YouTube has taken down the viral video showing Chris Cuomo threatening to assault a heckler or whatever. Trump tweets, put it back up. We are living with a rigged and fake media. And I was like, Trump finally addressing censorship, tells them to put it back up.
Put it back up, yeah.
Like, imagine you.
Did they actually take that video down?
No, it's all over the place, dude.
Yeah, you can't. Everyone's seen it.
Like, everybody's seen it. Like, even if he did take it down, it's fine. It just brings more awareness to it. But I just think it's funny that Trump's like quotes a tweet and goes, "Put it back up." Like YouTube's gonna be like, "Oh."
Well, I bet the libertarians are gonna be pissed off because how dare he interfere with the private markets? You know, you can't say anything as a government official about regulations. That was another reason I left the right was like the libertarians have hijacked the Republican Party, in my opinion. Where it's like they're just libertarians at this point. You have like your nationalists and you have just your libertarians. There's actually like no real conservatives anymore. It's like you just have to be economic libertarian, and you know you can't say anything offensive. It's like, dude, what's the point of the Republican Party anymore? They're just like a less left version of the left. So I was like, this is stupid. I'm out of this fucking party, dude. And look at the red flag laws now.
But see, the thing is, like, I'm against, like. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that
I just don't understand what's the point of being a Republican. Like, what do you get out of it? They don't do anything good.
Well, they're not conservative, is what the thing is. Like,
they're not. They're libertarians. They're corporatists.
Yeah, they've abandoned every single
conservative value.
But
they don't care. They don't care about like having families anymore. They're all like, and again, I've done promiscuous things and degenerate stuff, but I'm not conservative. But like, there's really no conservative values in this country anymore. I mean, Christianity is dying. Family values are dying. It's like what about now than the 1950s is the same?
Well, I think they're still conservative. Like I think there's still certain people who are conservative.
But the thing is like that's okay if it's not the same anymore because like the thing is you can still be conservative while being okay with the country.
I don't think it is because I think that's what
did you conserve?
That's what breeds.
Well, what are you supposed to conserve?
This is a free thinking connection right here. This is a jump. And if you guys don't agree with me, push back, please. But I think that when conservatives abandon things like starting families and being traditional and actually repopulating, that breeds, in a way, the kind of white nationalist thing where it's like, oh, the immigrants, they're so evil, they're horrible, they're replacing us. It's like,
right.
Well, the side that was supposed to be traditional
isn't having any kids.
Like white people aren't having any kids. So it's like, obviously, people are going to be lashing out about stuff like that. Now, I don't have a problem with people. I have a problem with immigration because I think we have too many people in the country. It's not about races of people.
It's just an infrastructure problem.
Yeah, it's like we just are out of space. Sorry.
Yeah,
you know.
Right.
But if you want to, like, to everybody that comes to me and they're like complaining about even if I had an issue personally with the replacement, I'm not going to take to the internet and be like, oh, I'm just going to have like 4 kids.
The white replacement thing is stupid because like white people are having the least amount of kids. Like if you guys really think you're being replaced, like objectively replaced by other ethnicities, but then you're not having kids, you're just bitching online with incel communities. It's like you're not conserving anything. So
the question is, if you're not like, okay, if white people become a minority or whatever, who gives a fuck?
Right.
Literally, who cares?
I think, and this is back to, we had a discussion with John Burke about this, but I think it's more of a cultural thing.
No, it's not. It's not a cultural thing, and it's totally a race thing. Because here's the thing:
if white people became a minority to Muslims, and that believed in Sharia law, would that that's
a cultural thing.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
But that's also not really what like white or like people on the alt-right are talking about.
They're talking more about Hispanics,
Hispanics or black people or whatever becoming the majority in this country. And my question would be, who gives a fuck? If it's obviously, yes, if it was some kind of a genocide, that's terrible. But like, if it was just like a natural progression, if people are just
not. That's the thing. Is whatever, and then eventually, it's like people are being brought into this country, like it's happening in Europe all over the place, where it's like Muslim migrants are being transported in like crazy, and there's literally a replacement going on, good or bad, because they're just being shipped in and having like 17,000 kids. So
well, I think there's a way right there, and there's of course ways to go about integration, but the whole well, I don't even like to say white nationalism. I like to just say like alt-right fucking argument that like, oh, whites are going to become a minority or whatever. My question to that would literally be, who cares?
That right? It's like that
a
is
lot of the times like
a problem.
A lot of the times, people who the thing is they like to say culture. And Dylan, I'm not accusing you of doing this because you made a good point, but I think that a lot of the times people on the alt-right, they like to say, oh, well, we're not talking about race, we're talking about preserving culture, right? Well, you pretty much, if you keep talking to them, it always comes down to like the race and IQ shit, and then they pretty much like
that's so true.
Eventually, like they'll just fucking admit that, like, okay, yeah, like we don't want whites to get wiped out because black people are dumb or less than or something, and then
Well, let me ask you this though, because like, so this is a fact. If white people do become the minority, there will never be another Republican president. Like minorities just objectively vote Democrat. You know, like, so
there's never going to be a Republican president within 10 years, even when whites still have a majority, because a large percentage of whites aren't Republicans either. I mean, Democrats are probably a majority white party still, and Republicans.
And the thing is even if that were the case, which I don't really know if it is or not, I don't think that's a good enough reason to say that there should be like a white ethno state.
No, absolutely not. But here's the thing. Here's a free thinking perspective on the ethno state thing, though. And this is like, again, I'm not advocating for it at all, because our country wasn't founded on that. But it is very interesting that our own government and the most common sense people will look around the world and look at places like, particularly, let's look at Israel, Palestine, and the massive push for a two-state solution, which is an ethno-state solution. Let's take the Palestinian Muslims and put them in their own country, and let's take the Jews in Israel and give them their own country because they're not getting along based on race and religion. Let's look at India and Pakistan. You know what? These Muslims and Hindus are fucking killing each other. Let's make a whole separate Muslim country called Pakistan and separate the Hindus in India. Like, and we've done this all around the world, and like everyone agrees that was like the right thing to do, which is pretty interesting. How it's like all of a sudden when it's in the West, though, now it's the most racist piece of shit thing. And again, I'm not calling for it. But we've looked around and look at Iraq, the most recent example.
Dude,
the reason Iraq failed.
You roasted me for getting fucking destroyed by John Burke for making these exact points, dude. Because when I said on the podcast,
you did not say these points. You never mentioned Israel.
I absolutely did. I mentioned Asia. I mentioned
again, and I'll address that in a second. And I've also said I'm not advocating for the solution you are. I'm just saying it's interesting.
I'm not advocating for it. I'm just saying other countries do it and it's fine, and then the U.S. does it.
No, but not even you. What you were saying was other countries are just ethno-states. I'm saying, even on top of that the United States government itself and the West has had a hand in making ethno-states around the world, with India and Pakistan separation, with now wanting Israel and Palestine, and most recently, everyone agreeing that the main reason the Iraq War failed was because there's so many separate tribes and ethnic groups that they didn't want to all be a part of one country, and we realized that's why it didn't work. So it's like we'll acknowledge that doesn't work there, but then when you have over here, it's like no, you can't even have that discussion. And again, I don't really even feel that. I guess I don't want to have this. I don't really know, but it's like it is weird how the West.
I'm not again. And it's not a race thing for me. It is a cultural thing for me. I'm fine with people.
How do you define culture? Like
people, right? But how do you define culture? Like no race really has a specific culture.
Yeah.
No, well, I mean, I think they do, but I'm fine. I wouldn't say race. I think it's more of like. It's more of like I think culture comes from religion much more than it does from race, but I think here's the thing, like if people come to this country, assimilate to the way that we live life. I'm fine if you want to act at home and do what you want to do and follow your culture, like that's fine. You don't have to abandon your entire culture, but but just assimilate. It makes everything.
Well, how are you defining assimilating? What was a time when American immigrants were assimilating, and what are they not doing now? It's not assimilation.
They were assimilating in, I think, during the times of Ellis Island.
And what were they doing that was assimilating?
They were coming to the country. They had like Chinatown, Little Italy, and they created their groups when they came here. But
I don't think people ever assimilated in this country.
I think so. I do. Well,
I don't even think they ever did.
That might be pretty free thinking because they just weren't
I
coming
don't think we have little Italy, we have little Saigon, we have little Chinatown. We've always had these things. We've never really had assimilation.
But
Everyone's
they weren't
always
coming
been
in at a
segregated.
large enough scale to where it really made it. I think it's making a difference. Like
It's literally like America was built on being a melting pot of cultures,
you
and
look
I
at
would say
Europe-
honestly, I think,
yeah,
Go ahead.
I mean, if you look at Europe right now, the country that's doing the best is Poland, and they have the least immigration. I'll just throw that out there.
well, but the thing is, there's a way to go about this immigration, right? So, like Europe, for
Are
example,
you
they're
playing
not doing
Fortnite
it.
right now?
Why would you think that?
Because you started to say how would you know, and then I hear like tapping on the keyboard.
Keyboard's moving hella fast.
It's fine if you are. I don't mind.
No, I am. It's fine.
No, it's You're still having a productive conversation. It's good.
There you go. Yeah, and I'm high. No, I'm just kidding.
Allegedly.
But now you actually did get me off subject. What was I saying?
About I don't know, immigration or something.
Dylan, fuck you, dude.
Fuck.
I was deep in thought, and then all of a sudden I hear you played Fortnite. I was like, wait, how did you know?
No,
I knew you were doing something on that.
No,
keyboard.
you tried to
banging that fucking thing.
deflect him, and then you're like, why would you think that?
Why would you think that, Dylan? No, but like I think that the way Europe's going about the immigration is wrong. Because they're just kind of just plopping all these immigrants in, and they're just like, all right, have fun. If you have a single objection to this, then you're a fucking racist bigot, basically. I think there's a way to go about the immigration. And so I don't think it's necessarily, Poland has less immigration, so therefore they have less crime, or it's all fine and dandy because they have less immigration. I think it's just because if you compare Poland to Europe, which is doing the immigration wrong, then it's more on how.
Where's an example of immigration done right? Where
Poland.
has it gone?
Poland.
It's no. This is what I'm saying. Where, I guess a better way to say this is, I don't know the answer to this, and I'm generally
Poland.
curious.
No, I'm just kidding.
As a Polish
Poland's the
person,
answer.
I did.
Poland's the answer to everything.
Is there an example in history or in recent history or modern times of a multicultural, diverse society that ended up being stronger than before it was a single race society? Is there an example of that anywhere? Like, do we have any evidence of that at all?
No.
Because it seems like, and again,
Well, I mean, somebody gets forced out. Somebody, like, look at when the Native Americans, they got forced out. We tried to live with them, ended up, now they're alcoholics and own casinos. Like, somebody gets forced out every single time. That's just the truth of it. Whoever has the most power, whoever takes over, the minority.
is there an example where everybody got along?
The minority's going to get oppressed. The minority's going to feel left out.
You had South Africa where the whites came in, they just took over the land from the blacks and killed them, and now they lost power. The blacks are killing them.
Well, and so if you're, none of us are white nationalists 100%.
Right.
But if you're
Not at
looking around the world at things that are going on in South Africa, at examples of people getting forced out, and then you see immigrants coming having way more kids, you can understand why they would be upset. But I'm not saying they're right. I'm just saying you can understand.
You can understand.
The thing is you just have to ask, like, okay, let's just say, okay, they're upset because whites aren't having as many babies and immigrants are. Again, like in the white nationalist's mind, right? The worst thing that could happen is they become a minority in their country, and then my question to that would again be, why is that a problem?
Because they believe they're going to be executed, like South Africa. It's obvious.
So they think they're going to be like brutally massacred?
Well, they don't think they're going to get brutally massacred.
There's
absolutely
no
I have
evidence
friends who are white national. Like they wouldn't say they are. A lot of them don't openly admit that they're white nationalists, but they're just afraid of the replacement because they want to preserve this culture that they associate with white people. But like what I said earlier, it's more about religion and.
But like, what is white culture?
They're associated with like Christian.
What is white culture?
They're associating it with being.
Well, they say it's Christian, conservative, traditional American values. Why do you have to say white culture?
Well, that's what they get confused about. It's like, sure, white people.
It's like I know some white degenerate libtard pieces of shit. They're white, like their culture is white.
Like
Plus, I thought the whole thing isn't conservative traditional values having children, but then at the same time they're bitching because immigrants are having kids.
Well, here's the one thing about that I will say, and President Trump actually is going to maybe take action against this, is you'll see, particularly in Europe and in the United States, that immigrants have a higher percentage, according to data, of being on welfare programs than American citizens. and therefore they don't really care much about having more kids than they can afford because they're going to be on welfare anyway. And if you have a lot of white conservative people or conservative people in general, but let's just say white conservative people who want to do things the quote unquote right way and not be on the system, well, and things are so expensive in corporate America now that you can only really afford to have 2 kids at the max if you're doing it without any handouts.
Not only that, but
if you're an immigrant, you're gonna have 10 kids, and like you're all in the system anyway. Then like, why not have hella kids?
Well,
so I mean,
that you realize like,
but
there's also
Trump
white
is
people
cracking down on Trump.
There is also white people on welfare, but there's also white people who don't want to do that, and there's don't want to be on the welfare system and still find pride in that. And these white nationalists, they say you don't see too many people of ethnic minorities who like are ashamed to be on welfare. Whereas they'll say there is still a lot of whites who say that is not something I want to do. I think it's the wrong thing to do. So, I mean, that is one of their concerns that I could see where they are coming from on that of saying, hey, particularly in Europe, like you can go into like these European countries and have a bunch of kids if you're Islamic or whatever and get on the welfare state. And the people there, like, I'm a hardworking British person. I just want to do things the right way and not be on the welfare state. I have traditional values of hard work and not be on the system. Then they're inherently going to be disadvantaged by not willing to go on welfare and have more kids and be incentivized to have kids. So that is
that might be a thing, but again, that has nothing to do with white or black.
And it doesn't. But it just seems that whether or not something has something to do with white or black, if you look at certain data on different things, it looks like a lot of things do have racial outcomes, whether or not they had racial intentions. I mean, you have the welfare state in this country was intended to eliminate poverty. And yes, number-wise, there is more white people on the welfare state than there is blacks. But as a percentage, it's overwhelmingly, there's more black people as a percentage of the black population on welfare than white people as a percentage of population on welfare. And
isn't that because black people tend to live in lower economic situation
well,
let's use Joe Biden's words. Sometimes
no, Joe Biden says poor kids are just as smart as the white kids.
Yeah, poor kids
exactly.
are just as smart as the white kids. No, but I want to move on. Like, I think do you want to make final points on this? Because I do want to move on to like the more important issues of the week. So
I'm good. I'm fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I want to talk about Jeffrey Epstein and like have a free thinking discussion about what the fuck happened with Jeffrey Epstein. So I get up in the morning this weekend. I don't remember which. I think it was Saturday morning. This man's is dead, dude. This man's got. They said he committed suicide, which I do think he did, and I'm gonna get to that as a free thinker. I've come up with the free.
I talked to my previous show. I was recording before this, and we came to the conclusion that he probably committed suicide. The conspiracy is like, wow, is that allowed to happen? Is more.
No, I don't think it's.
I think he may have been coerced into committing suicide.
Dude, Hunter just took my free thinking point.
Dang.
No, Hunter's a free thinker. I think what happened is that some powerful people came to him. Either he paid off the guards, or some powerful people came to him and said, look, we don't want to get exposed. You don't want to get humiliated. Just kill yourself. End this whole thing. And he was like, I don't want to get. They're like, Jeffrey, you're going to look like an idiot.
Is there any evidence that anyone ever visited him, that talked to him in the prison? Like, where is this?
Apparently there were guards that like left for maintenance or something. Actually, kind of shady.
Yeah.
But did anybody go into the jail that checked in? Like, is there videotapes of anybody ever entering the building? Like, I mean, I think as free thinkers we should question everything. But the problem with conspiracy theories, and you know, I love me some Alex Jones. I've watched him for years. But the problem with the Alex Jones way of thinking is these conspiracy theorists think if it's conceptually possible that the conspiracy theory may have happened, therefore it happened. And that's not very free thinking. It's like, hey, here's a possibility. Let's discuss all of these and figure out what's the most logical explanation. Say, oh, you know what? You know, Hillary Clinton does have a pretty suspect record, and I do agree with that, of like people dying around her. Therefore, this was the case that she fucking murdered him. I'm like, why does it have to be Hillary Clinton? Like, this guy was connected to all kinds of powerful billionaires.
Yeah, it could have been anybody.
Yeah, anybody wanted him dead.
I don't think Hillary Clinton did it. Like, that's just insane to assume. I mean, and if you say that, why was you not a conspiracy theorist? How are you doing?
What are you, support a libtard?
Yeah. What are you, a libtard? Yeah. You don't think Hillary Clinton personally?
Yes, I am.
But I did post a video that went viral on Facebook and Instagram. It was like this gorilla in a cage, and it was like jumping on the door, like trying so hard to get out, and like and it was like when you're Jeffrey Epstein and you see Bill and Hillary walking up to your cell, and that went freaking viral, dude. That was, and I was laughing my ass off seeing that every single time. But no, I do think
I think he just killed himself because
Well, no, you know what the best part is? The best part about this whole thing is that people on the right, they'll be like, and I've seen so many first of all, was not on suicide watch, idiots.
Right.
Look it up. He was not on suicide watch. They took him off, which is even more sketchy.
Well, let me address that because, everyone wants to always rely on just studies and data, but I think empirical evidence and anecdotes are very important for understanding how the world works. And my dad was a sheriff's deputy in the jail for 30 years, and so he's hyper aware of these kind of situations. He used to work on the psych ward, suicide watch ward, and everything. And he says, you have suicide watch. We in this country, we don't value law enforcement anymore. We don't want to pay taxes for it. We don't want to fund it. Everyone's cutting law enforcement salaries all across the country. So these correctional facilities are way understaffed. This is just a reality. My dad's department went from 1,400 officers to 800 in like 3 years. They laid everybody off, but they still have to, they put them on forced overtime, all these different things. And when you have something like suicide watch, it's very expensive. You have to put like 3 times the number of guards on there. You have to watch them all the damn time. And when someone commits suicide, my dad said some people commit suicide in their jail. They attempt it most of the time for attention because they get all the nurses talking to them, all the hot chick nurses. They get some friends in the psych ward. They do it very often for attention. And then after 1 or 2 or 3 days, when they've recovered from that, they take them off of it. It's very common because it's so expensive. They take them off of it. My dad's like, you can't watch every person 24/7. It is literally impossible. They're so understaffed. In this story in particular,
yeah, but here's the thing. He was in the same prison as El
officers.
Chapo. Like, if one of them's not going to be understaffed, it's that Manhattan.
Well, was El Chapo on suicide watch? No, he wasn't on suicide watch.
No, but I mean, like, you've got some of the most high-profile criminals in that prison. Like, this isn't just like a normal with just like drug dealers. Like, this is one of the biggest prisons, one of the most secure prisons.
What does that have to do with suicide watch? They showed this.
No, you're saying
people who are
taken off suicide watch.
Yeah, they take them off sometimes. It's like, hey, they think he attempted suicide 3 weeks ago. They monitor him for 6 days, and now it's like, okay, he hasn't tried it since then. We're going to take him off.
How can you try it when you're on suicide? There's literally no way. That's such false reasoning.
Yeah, it is. And again, that's the system we have. It is stupid, but that's the system. It's like, okay, well, he hasn't attempted it. We're going to take him off. And then they put him back in his place with a regular bed with regular sheets, and he can kill himself. And it's like, he probably did. And the second point is, back to my dad's evidence as well, one guy my dad said at the jail a few years ago here in Santa Clara County, he was some older Asian guy in 60s or 70s, got arrested for child molestation crimes, and jumped off the 3rd floor of the building and just killed himself head first because he was so ashamed of what he did, and he got caught. So, like, pedophiles are high risk to kill themselves in jail because it's so fucking embarrassing in our culture to be a pedophile, rightfully so, that they do kill themselves very often. So, like,
well, I don't even think he killed himself. I think people brought him the supplies to do it. I think people said, "Here, we will give you the opportunity to kill yourself."
It wasn't on suicide watch, so therefore he would have had regular sheets again. He could have just hung himself.
Yeah, but where do you hang yourself from?
You put yourself.
He hung himself with bed sheets.
You put yourself on a bed sheet. You just lean down with your knees, and like you'll pass out in like 10 or 12 seconds, and you're hanging there, and you die. It only takes like 10 minutes to kill yourself. It's pretty easy.
God, 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, it's like you go
10-minute really death, dude, is pretty.
You go brain dead really fast, but then like you actually die after like 10 or 12 minutes of no oxygen. But you'll pass out from like the hanging. I mean, people do it, so like I don't know what they do in the jail, what it looks like, but people
hang if you're gonna kill yourself, and don't ever, by the way, this is not me saying you should, but if you're gonna kill yourself, like, and you have the means to do so,
what else can they do? What else can he do besides hang himself in jail?
No, I'm talking about if you're out in the, and again, do not kill yourself, but if you're like gonna kill yourself and you're not in prison and you are just like chilling at your house, hanging yourself seems like the most inefficient way to do it.
Well, it seems like back in the old day, like in the Western movies, like if you actually, again, don't do this, but when people hang themselves like the real execution style, it's instant death because your neck snaps. Because they hang you
up on the thing and you kick the chair up.
Bam, yeah. But like the way you just choke yourself out, yeah, that seems terrible.
But I think the best, like if I had to do it, which I wouldn't and never do this, but if I had to do it, it would be, I would just sit in like the bathtub or the shower and shoot myself. So easy mess to clean up. I mean, you're going to be sad. You can just flush it down the drain or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, just get all the blood and everything out of there. and it's in a concentrated area, and you're just gone. I know somebody who tried to shoot themselves and like this, and they ended up blinding themselves. Like, imagine being so discontent with life that you try to kill yourself, and then you just end up blinding yourself, and then you're discontent with life and blind.
Oh,
like
God.
That's just the worst, dude.
That's disgusting.
Well, on that note, guys,
So you gotta go
I
up
think I gotta.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
On that note, I do have to head out. I appreciate you having me on, but dad life, it calls.
No, yeah. Hey, great video again, man. I think you did really good work on that video. It's real journalism.
Real
Thanks,
journalism,
man.
guys.
Appreciate it. Stay tuned for my video. I'm dropping another one tomorrow. It's not another.
Ooh.
It's not an expose.
I appreciate the shout out of Steve from the Scoop in the video too.
Yeah. That was not supposed to be a diss of you guys.
For using fake
exposing.
polls
Yeah,
liberals.
using fake polls.
Yeah, thanks for having me on your show afterwards.
Yeah.
I didn't even mind, dude. I got a couple of DMs. I'm like, where the fuck are people getting this? And then I saw Hunter's video, and I was like, I use fake polls. The fuck, and people thought I was like, whatever, dude. I openly do.
Whatever.
I meant no diss towards you guys. Don't get me wrong.
No, we took none out of it.
No,
so.
I thought it was good. Free publicity, dude. We got a whole 19 viewers, bro. It worked, bro.
Wow. All right. See you guys.
See ya.
Have a good one.
All right. Later.
Do you want to finish the last 10 minutes of the show or wrap it now?
Yeah, we can finish.
Okay, sweet. So let's see. What else is big in the news today?
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong, yeah, that's huge.
I have the free thinking take on that.
Let's hear the free thinking take on what's going on in
So I used to work and live there.
Okay.
So this is I'm monitoring it close. God damn, it always does this when you fucking.
Yeah, but it looks fine though, you know.
Which way do I move? To the left?
No, you move the other way.
Really?
Other way. Yeah, the other way. You're going the wrong way.
Oh. This way?
Yeah, no, yeah, come over a little bit more. Now you're good.
Okay. Sick. So I used to work and live in Hong Kong in 2015.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching this carefully. It makes me very sad to see what's happening there. However, I'm working on a scoop video that's going to come out tomorrow about this, and it's just the real news on it. And I researched about 4 or 5 hours of documents, articles, anecdotal pieces, tweets, whatever yesterday. And here's my free thinking conclusion: is within the next 2 months, the communist government of China is going to fully invade Hong Kong, and it's going to fully make it part of communist China. There's going to be no more separate Hong Kong within the next 2 months. And here's why. So when the British handed over Hong Kong to the Chinese in 1997, Hong Kong represented about 25% of the overall Chinese economy, just that one city alone. China was super underdeveloped back then. There wasn't so much capitalism and trade with the United States. And part of the deal of the British handover was for 50 years, you need to keep Hong Kong a capitalist city with no restrictions on freedom of the press, democracy, whatever. And in return, you have sole possession of it. You get tax money from it. You have the military. It's part of your country, but you have to keep it. So that was a good 50 years. Well, over the past 22 years since the handover, the United States and corporate America has gotten in bed with China. Mm-hmm. And we've personally financed the growth of communist China directly because we're so much greedy corporatists here that we care more about corporate profits getting business with China than the national security of the United States and the people of China. So over the last 22 years, through doing so much trade with them and them stealing our intellectual property, we do nothing about it, and borrowing money from them to fund our own government and paying them back in interest, we've financed the growth of their economy and their military, which is the biggest and strongest military in the world now. And at this point, the overall GDP of China, mainland China, it used to be that Hong Kong was a whole quarter of the economy. Now, mainland China's economy is 30 times bigger than Hong Kong's over the last 22 years.
So they have all the power.
Therefore, they no longer need Hong Kong as this Western liberal place to we're going to appease the West, give them this democracy place. They do business with us, and then in return we own Hong Kong. Now they're like, if Hong Kong stops being profitable, we're still rich as fuck. We're still the biggest military in the world. You still do so much business with us. We don't even need Hong Kong anymore. Therefore, they have no reason to uphold the bargain anymore because they don't need Hong Kong. So they're just going to invade it to flex, implement communism there, and it's just going to happen, and we're not going to do anything about it.
I agree with that because I think you can shut down what's going on there.
Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, there's no incentive for them not to.
There's no incentive for them not to. They don't need that money there anymore. They're so rich. We're not going to stop doing business with them. When Trump puts tariffs on China, Americans get pissed off about it. It's like we are in bed with China. China is going to take over the world. They're a fascist-style system. They're a fascist country now. Yeah. Everyone calls them communist, but everyone uses the term fascist to mean white supremacist, which is not what fascism is. Fascism means that the government controls all aspects of your life and the economy, but the economy is private sector economy.
Yeah.
That's what fascism is. Like Hitler, when he took over Germany, he took over your life and your rights, but the economy was still private sector.
Yeah.
It's just the government has control over it. They can regulate everything. They can pick winners and losers. They put money and investment in it, but they don't run the actual means of production.
Yeah.
They just invest in it.
Yeah.
And that's what China is now.
I think fascism is another one of those words that's just gotten completely slandered by the left.
It means racist. It just means racist. No,
well,
it's like no.
Right too. It's like leftists are the real fascists. It's like no.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
China is fascist.
Yeah.
That's a fascist country. It's like you have no civil rights, but it's a private sector economy, and the government has control of the economy. That's what fascism is. And unfortunately, we don't really know how to handle it, but it seems like in China, that model is working.
Yeah.
And that's very controversial to say, but it's allowing them to take over the world.
For them. That's the thing. It's like you have to remember a lot of people, like when people say socialism sucks, or people say like socialism works in some places, fascism works in some places. Like fascism worked really well for the German economy before World War II. Like it was
until they started getting all the racist shit.
It exploded.
If they didn't do all the racist anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic shit that got the world to get involved, and if they didn't like try to take over the entire continent, it probably would have been successful for their economy.
Yeah, it works in some places.
The racism parts was
it doesn't work everywhere. Like capitalism works in some places. Like I made a video on why socialism will never work in the US, and I made a clear point to say socialism doesn't suck. In certain niches, socialism can actually be super effective. It's just not in the United States. Fascism wouldn't be effective in the United States. We
value civil liberties here, so we wouldn't allow for it.
Exactly.
But in China, they don't value civil liberties. They just care about getting money and power and nationalism, and the people are just down for it, so it's working, and they're going to take over Hong Kong, and once that happens, they're going to invade Taiwan and get back to Taiwan. And when they invade Taiwan, that might cause a World War III.
Yeah, because that would not be good.
We have an obligation to defend Taiwan according to different defense obligations.
I don't think they'll invade Taiwan.
You don't think so?
Well, I don't think they'll invade Taiwan.
Because they know if they invade Hong Kong, we're not going to do anything.
Well,
here's
the thing about Russia and China that a lot of people don't understand. And I'm by no means like a foreign policy buff. Like I have a very cursory understanding of what's going on with foreign policy, but I had to throw the word cursory in, so I still sound smart. But do you ever do that when you know you're just spitting straight dumb shit? You just fucking throw in like a smart word.
Facetious.
Yeah, facetious. But the thing is like Russia and China are our natural allies, and I think they understand as well as we do. We rely on them, they rely on us, and we use them a lot, like economically and stuff like that. There would be absolutely no incentive for either country to go to war. Absolutely
wrong. Not yet. But once China builds up its own domestic economy enough, they no longer rely on exports to the United States.
Well,
then they're no longer
the debt they have with us.
What do you mean?
Well, like we both own so much of each other's debt.
Dude, who's going to collect the debt on each other? Like,
we could
you think
call
we're going
on our debt and they'd be fucked. They could do the same thing. We'd be
really?
fucked.
Are we going to go to war over it? We're not.
But like,
so it doesn't matter.
So let me ask you this.
Argentina owed us hundreds of billions of dollars in the 2000s or 90s. Look this up. Argentina, a no threat to the United States, owed us tens or hundreds of billions of dollars of debt, and they said, "Oh, we're not paying it anymore," and that was just it.
Yeah, Frontline Masters in the chat said fascism would be great for Europe. Yeah, absolutely. I think fascism, because they don't really value their civil liberties, and I mean, it worked in Germany before Hitler started being anti-Semitic. So, but no, I agree. So here's what I'm asking you though, as a free thinker. See, I don't even see, because like Russia isn't nearly as dependent on us as we are with China.
They're dependent on Europe because they're
dependent on Europe, and we don't share allies. Like, in fact, we fucking hate Iran openly, and they're like strong allies with Iran. Why haven't we gone to war with Russia? Like, because
Russia's a nuclear power as well.
Yeah, and so is China. So, like, what would be the point? Like, if we we're getting to the point where war is becoming so advanced and so brutal that, like, going to war with a country would be catastrophic for, like, if we go to war with, like, Iran, it's not going to be that catastrophic, or North Korea, because they don't really have the technology to like stay up on our level. So like we could nuke the fuck out of them and they'd just be sitting there with like machine guns. But like if we go to war with our machine guns, by the way, from invading and giving them all the weapons before in the 80s. But if we go to war with fucking China or Russia, they're on our level, if not higher in some regards. Like China has the most troops out of any military in the world. And they don't even spend as much. That's what's so funny. Is they're like,
right?
Yeah,
exactly.
But the thing is like, that would be catastrophic for both sides. Like the casualties would be absolutely insane. You know, they have the capacity to nuke us. They have the capacity to, like, EMTs. Like, it would be brutal. So it's like, I don't see any benefit.
So you're saying that no one's ever going to go to war with big countries will never go to war ever again?
I think it'll be more proxy wars within, like I think it would be more of like, we'll fuck with Iran to get at Russia, or like allies and stuff like that. Like, we'll probably defend Taiwan if they try to invade Taiwan, but I don't think we would do it in a way to start a war with Russia. I think it would be more of, or with China. I don't think there's going to, at least unless something catastrophic happens, and as a free thinker, I'm open to that happening.
Right.
I don't see a massive world war with global superpowers going to war. I could see, like, you know, Middle Eastern conflicts going on where Russia's arming aside, we're arming aside. Because, dude, like, but I just don't see, like, with the whole Syria thing, like, we fucking bombed the Syrian airbase. Russia didn't do anything. They threatened, like, oh, we're going to come after you. No, they didn't do shit. Like, it's just they're not going to do anything, you know?
But if we bombed China, do you think they would do something?
But why would we bomb China?
Well, I'm just saying.
If we did, absolutely. If we bombed China, that they would, just like if they bombed us. But I don't think they're going to.
So when it's proxies, you just kind of don't really do anything about it.
Well, I think we're going to do stuff about it, but I don't think it'll lead to like I don't think the United States will declare war on China over like a conflict with Taiwan. You know, I think it would take like a direct attack, because we'd be fucked. Like, every side would be fucked. I don't even know if we could win that war, and even if we could win that war, we would lose so many lives. You know, it would be.
Well, that's why I'm saying long-term strategy is like
in the 40s. Like, you fucking, it's like, oh yeah, you may have won, but also they just threw their fucking troops at you so much that you lost so many people. Like, that's why Hitler lost the war. He just tried to invade Napoleon, dude. Everybody tries to invade fucking Russia. They get fucking slammed.
You can't invade Russia, man.
And the Russians are just like, hey, drink vodka and come out and and you know, everyone else in the fucking winter, and they just get destroyed. You know. All right,
well, I just think let's wrap it up.
Oh fuck! Oh, it's too late to put on IGTV. Damn it! It's fine. Keep going. I was trying to cut it before an hour so we can put it on IGTV, but it's Thursday's episode. We did it 59 minutes.
Just like give it like a 55-minute update, and then.
Well, I had it. I was looking at it at 56, and then we
just said something, dude.
Well, I was thinking, I was like, this is getting boring, and then we got into the war conversation. I was like, okay, fuck, this is good now. This is really free thinking.
But yeah, I also saw something that like people theorize that there's going to be a place maybe in, I don't know, 10 to 30 years, maybe longer than that, probably no more than 30 though, that China, Russia, and the United States are equal superpowers at that point, and they all control kind of a third of the world, and it kind of just stays there.
That's pretty free thinking. Like, that could happen.
No one else wants to bomb each other. It's like, okay, we took over everybody else, and then we're not going to fuck with each other because we're so powerful, and it's like, okay, we just kind of stay here.
Dude, I would actually, if you think about it, that might work, you know? Like, if you have, like, the global superpowers owning portions of the world, and you kind of get rid of this, because where do you see the majority of the conflict? It's in like third world countries with religious conflict. Like, that's where the majority of the conflict is. It's not global superpowers going to war. It's these like smaller countries like Iraq and Afghanistan. That's where you see the majority, especially recently.
The last global
but I do think
war
if
was
that were to happen,
Vietnam.
like if you think about that, for these countries to just go and take over that much land, that would probably start a war in and of itself, because like somebody's gonna have to invade somebody. Like Ukraine, we already know Ukraine is not down to fuck with Russia. So like,
well, Russia annexed Crimea from Ukraine, and it was like, oh well, like,
people were fucking pissed, but it was like, we didn't do anything.
But they didn't do anything.
No,
didn't do anything.
But
and
if we were,
it's like, what do we? Are we the world police or are we not? It's like with Hong Kong, it's like, you know what? We're not going to do anything, and it's like, are we obligated to? Probably not. So therefore, they're going to take it over, because it's like, if we're not the world police, then they're just going to do whatever they want.
Yeah. And
it's like, which do you want? Do you want to bitch and moan about them doing it, or are you the world police? And it's like, if you're going to be the world police, you have to go there and kick ass.
Yeah.
There can't be any rules of engagement. War having rules is so silly. It's like, dude, this is deadly violent.
Because you already violated the rule when you fucking invaded another country.
Killing somebody, yeah.
Thanks, Cirques, for the donation. Appreciate it, bro. Free thinking donation.
Huge.
Also, guys, just want to say really quick, make sure you get a shirt. Free Thinkers merch. These shirts are going to be going away soon. Let me get an update on these really quick, actually.
Yeah, really soon. Maybe like in a couple days they're going to be gone.
Let me check and see. Let me let you guys know how long, because once this is gone, it's gone.
Yeah, One Finger Design.
Oh god, I got a
Free Thinkers Must Suppress Class shirt, Free Thinkers shirt. We got dad hats, we got medallions.
We don't have the dad hats yet. Dead hats
Oh,
are
we don't
coming.
have
No,
hats
dead
yet.
hats are coming. Yeah. Wait,
We wouldn't need China. Someone says we wouldn't need China if we cut regulations here and have business here. Regulations work when you do it on other countries.
Well, here's the thing. Let me ask you this. Let's see. Hold on a minute. Oh, maybe they're already gone.
Really?
Let me see. I'm trying to figure out how to fucking. I'm still not used to this site. Hold on, let's see. No, they're still there. I think they're gonna be gone very soon. If you want to pick up your Flex hoodie, you should do that ASAP because that's gonna be gone.
Yeah.
The Flex hoodie, if you want to make sure you have that for. I was actually at the mall the other day, and my friend was like, 2 days, August 19th, they're not available.
Nice.
Oh, no,
Hurry up.
so 6 days you have to buy them.
Hurry up, guys. Get some merch. Support the channel.
Oh my god,
Support
dude! What the fuck? This can't be true.
What?
It says we have 5,405 reviews. Oh, that's just on the quality of shirt that we used. Okay, I was like, what the fuck? Why are these people not buying this shit? Who reviews a product and fucking buy it, dude? Let me see. Free thinkers of the most depressed class. Yeah, that one is available till 18th of August. Dude, we've sold some shirts, bro.
Nice.
I'm looking at this right now. We've sold some shirts. Let's see if we sold any drip, bro. If somebody bought the drip, please. No, we haven't sold any drip.
Damn, we haven't sold any medallion chains. We haven't sold
Dude,
any Free Thinkers bling.
If somebody buys the drip and then fucking sends me a picture, I'll give you the fattest shout out I've ever given anybody in my life.
All right, we can wrap it up now.
All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Free Thinkers podcast. We are going to come out with beanies. We got all that coming. Leslie, man's whipped, dude. Leslie's like, seems like, all right, let's wrap it.
All right, my girlfriend wants me back. I guess we got it on the show here.
All right, let's wrap it. Thank you all so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Free Thinkers podcast. Buy some merch. Help out the show. Buy some fucking merch.
Please and thank you.
Please and thank you. Buy some merch. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next on Thursday, actually. See you guys Thursday.